Hi, guys. Welcome to Drama in Session with Carina and Heidi. Today, we have a very special guest. We are very interested in continuing the chat about divorce and custody and children. So, we have Raquel joining us today.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And I'm so proud of this podcast. It's been so much fun to listen and see. So I'm so proud of you.
And I just hope that at some level that we're touching people and we're getting people to realize that divorce doesn't always have to be ugly.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Co-parenting isn't always as difficult as people make it out to be. And I think you're literally the perfect example of that.
I want to hope so. Yes, I think I am. I think I am. Yes.
So Raquel and I, we met years ago at the gym. And I'm working out and I'm thinking, oh my God, this 21-year-old girl is just looking amazing over here. And then she's like, oh, I have older kids. And I'm like, what? When did you have them? When you were 11? And then we just clicked and we started talking. And out of nowhere, she's like, and I'm like, oh, I'm a lawyer and I do divorces and custody. She's like, oh, I need a divorce. And I'm like, like I need a puppy. I was like, oh, okay. Like, did you just think about this today? Like, are you in the middle of it? She's like, well, I haven't filed and I haven't really talked to him about it, but like, we need one. And I was like, okay.
We knew we were gonna get a divorce sometime, but we were like, okay, when is it gonna happen? And it was just like right timing. You were there.
I was there like, okay, how does this even happen? And we were just talking about how the situation transpired that I realized that they were such good co-parents was we were in our office or we were having our meeting in the office and she starts talking about the kids. And at the time, I think two of them were still in high school.
Yeah. So there were 15, all three of them, 15, 16, and 17. So they were all in high school.
You were busy when they were little then.
Oh, I was super busy, super busy. But it was the best thing that I did having them so close in age because then they kind of grew up together and then it kind of just like now they're all in college, which is I'm an empty nester, which is crazy to me.
And she still looks 21, so which is even more crazy to me, right?
She loves me. I love you. We just, we have to hype each other up. But we were in your office and we were discussing the proposal and what we were going to do, like, for the whole divorce thing. And she's like, okay, so what are the percentages? And I couldn't remember them. So I pick up the phone and I call my ex-husband and she's looking at me and I'm like, hey, so what are you going to do? What are we doing? And she's looking at me like, you're insane. Like,
and she put him on speaker and he's like, okay, hold on, let me see. And then I'm like, what is happening? Because everyone tells me my divorce is going to be easy. Like, we get along. And then I realized, like, okay, you guys get along, but there's restraining orders. Like, you kept the kid, he kept the kid. When did you guys get along? Do you guys still get along? This is really weird. So when she's telling me that they get along, I'm like, okay, okay, okay. But I didn't realize that they got along.
yeah, I think for us, co-parenting was like our main focus. Our kids are and were our main focus. And my ex-husband and I share the same values when it comes to the kids, the same morals. So he is an extraordinary father, and I want to believe that I am a great mom as well. So, Sam and our morals, our beliefs on how we wanted to raise our kids were always in sync. Like the kids are our priority. So for us, that was it. Okay, we didn't work out, but the kids are our main focus. And I think that's why we probably stayed together for so many years, 20 years, because we were really, really trying to keep that family unit until finally we kind of were like, okay, but we're going to still make sure that the kids are like our main focus. And I think we've done an incredible job because we have amazing kids.
I think you guys have both done an incredible job. And I think it's not always easy. And I'm sure that it wasn't easy leading up to the point where you guys decided to get a divorce, right? Because you are also thinking about your kids and everything that they're going to have to go through. Luckily, you guys took the higher road and were able to work it out. But many people get divorced because they can't get along anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think for us, we were married for 20 years. We're together for 20 years. And I feel like we both grieved and mourned the marriage while we were, the divorce while we were still married. I think we knew like year 10, like, okay, this is probably not going to go anywhere, but we have these little babies. What are we going to do? To me, I thought, I need to make sure that these kids, get the best of me and I can raise them to a place or get them to an age where they're a little bit older. Him and I, we can still, make this kind of work. And we did. We just put that focus on those kids. And the last 10 years, we struggled, but I think we kind of knew, like, let's just wait to see when the kids get to that point. Um, and finally, when we did decide, the kids were 15, 16, and 17 years old. And when we sat with them, it was like the kids kind of were like not surprised. And it was very interesting because we sat them down and we're over here like this is what we have to say. My oldest daughter, which is like the mom of all of us, I always make that a joke. She's like, well, okay, we kind of knew, but this is how it's gonna go down. And we were like, she's like, we're not going anywhere. You guys need to decide who's gonna live here. We're not gonna pack our bags and go anywhere every weekend. So we did the nesting, which we left. We kept the kids in the home, and we have a home in Lake Arrowhead. So he would go there some weekends, and then I would go to my mom's. So we never had the kids, which I think was the best thing for my kids because they never felt he was already traveling so much with work. And so they were used to him being gone, or like if he was, working late. So we kind of removed if I was going, okay, I'm going to leave for the weekend. And then he would say, or I'm going to go for a few days. The kids had their normal, yeah, we're packing our bag. And that was my oldest daughter, like, and she just laid it down. Like, this is how it's gonna go down. And we were like, okay. And Sam and I were like, great idea. You know what? The kids don't move. He decided to stay in the home. I bought a home like 7 minutes away from the house. And for the first 3 years, I drove every morning at 6 in the morning, made breakfast. The kids would wake up, they'd see me there. They'd come home from school. I'd be there with making dinner. Then they'd come home, do homework. I'd drive them to wherever they needed to go. And then it was time to shower, go to bed. And then I would go to my house. And every morning I did that. And we did that. And that was the agreement that we had. And it worked so well for us, where the kids were like, Mom, we don't even feel like you guys are divorced. Because already the last few years of our marriage, we really didn't have, they didn't really see that connection. He'd come home, you'll go to his like his cave, and like I would be upstairs. So the kids, we kept that normalcy, but just minus the fighting, which was great. So that's how I feel like that worked. I mean, really kept the kids sane, and us too.
And that's it, like the most important thing. And we've talked about it before, how there's no specific schedule that works in general for all kids. All kids are different. Every divorce is different. So a schedule like yours worked so well, where in another situation, it just would be impossible. There's just no way. But I've seen people that have been able to do that and do it really well, and it works. It's just a matter of you being able to put in the effort, because now you're getting there at 6 a.m., right? And you're doing all of mom's stuff still, and you're catering to the house and the kids.
And I still have another home.
Exactly.
And that was hard because not knowing that your kid is not in the, and I got emotional about I was talking to my daughter about this yesterday, my oldest, and the hardest part was, and she says, I remember you crying that I wasn't sleeping. I don't want to get emotional right now, but I wasn't sleeping next to my kids because my kids were my life. I mean, I was a stay-at-home mom. And now I can't just walk into my kid's room in the night and make sure that they're in there. And that was so hard for me because I was like, I couldn't wait to get up in the morning and just like, okay, I need to go to the house and make sure the kids are okay. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I would just spend the night and sleep in my daughter's bed, or we had extra rooms downstairs because it was hard for me. It took me like about a year to finally actually say, okay, I need to go live in my home because then COVID happened and all that happened. So that kind of forced me to do that because it was hard for me to let go of that, my kids. Like, I didn't feel like it was right. Like, what do you mean I'm going to leave the kids here? So,
And we talked about how every child is different and what you're raising the same children, but they all have different parents, is what we talked about last time. Do you feel like some of your children needed different things, or?
my oldest and I have a very, very special bond. I feel like we kind of raised each other. I was 22 when I got pregnant. I was 23 when I had her. And her and I are very close. So I think she took a lot of that responsibility of like, okay, mom's not here. I got to make sure things are right. I think I was kind of going through my thing, and she was always the one taking care of the kids. When she saw things were getting a little ugly at home with her dad and I, she'd be the one that'd be like, okay, guys, let's go outside, or like, let's go play, or like, let's go grab ice cream, let's go grab yogurt. Cause like she knew, oh, mom and dad are about to explode. So that was, and I feel bad to this day. I'm so sorry.
But you shouldn't feel bad
It's
because
made her who
yes,
she's an
kids are
amazing, yeah,
resilient
she's
and they
amazing, she's like such a little badass, my daughter. But then there's Narine, who is my middle child, who holds a lot in, and she was always like, I'm fine, I'm fine. And I was like, you need therapy. She's like,
anybody who says I'm fine is never fine.
she's very like me. We're the same, and she tries to put up this front. So, she held a lot in, and I think that she didn't. She always tried to act like everything's okay. She did do a little bit of therapy. Then there's my son, who I think who I know is very sensitive, and I really try to make things as normal as possible. But I also know that he was okay with the divorce because he said something to me it still sticks to me. He says to me, It's okay, mommy. Because I was like, I am so sorry that I'm doing this, you know? I, I am so sorry. And he was like, I don't even know why I'm getting so emotional. Gosh, it's been years.
I think it's all about being a mom and just feeling what kids feel.
I kept saying to him, I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. And he says, It's okay, mommy, because I know what it's like to have a family. I have a lot of friends who their parents get divorced so young and they don't know that. And that gave me some sort of comfort. Oh my God, Raquel, you weren't supposed to do this. And I think he was the one that, for me, that was the hardest part for me, like him, making sure, like, and he said the most beautiful thing to me. And I was like, oh, he's like, yeah, I know what it's like to have a family. I'm okay. And he was okay with the divorce. I think there was a time where I came home one day and his dad kind of was nice to me. Like he said something nice to me, like kind of like not in a flirty way, but he said something nice to me. And Alexan looks at me and he's like, no, like this is not. And I was like, oh no, we are not getting back together. Now they're adults and now it's very different now. So, but yes, divorce I think for me, my hardest thing was my kids. Was just, I knew financially, I knew I was going to be okay. I just really wanted to make sure that my kids were okay. And that's why I kept them being, they needed to be the focus.
Okay, not to continue getting so emotional, but everything you've said has been so beautiful that what if you could give another mom who's scared of life after divorce some type of advice, anything that you learned along the way, what would it be?
Ooh, don't be scared to be alone. I made the biggest mistake when I got divorced and I got into a relationship right away. I think what happens to us women, I was in my 40s when I got divorced, is, you know, I was married for 20 years and then you're like, oh my gosh, like, is anybody gonna like want to be with me? Like, am I gonna ever have, my happily ever after? Am I ever gonna find somebody? So instead of me taking that time to find myself and like, what do I really want? I was so young, I was 18. I got into this marriage and I started having kids. I should have taken that time to really find myself, heal, and see what it is that I really wanted. And I regret that so much because I jumped into a relationship so soon and I was in a very long relationship. And I just want to tell all those moms, women that are getting divorced, like, it's going to be okay. You will find your happily ever after. Take time for yourself. Like, this is finally the time where it's like clean slate. Like, you can actually just start over your way. You're wiser, you're older. Just really take that time for yourself. Dating sucks right now, anyways. It does.
We keep hearing that a lot.
It sucks.
We
Like,
keep hearing that a lot.
you already had a man and kids you already made him and your kids your focus. Like, now focus on yourself and what you really want. And I think I see a lot of women when they get divorced, they're out there dating and they want to find the next man.
Well, and I think because divorce doesn't just come out of nowhere, right? Like you said, you were in a relationship for 10 years when you guys knew that divorce was probably a possibility and you guys still continue to be together.
Right.
Even though you guys probably weren't getting along. So now you haven't actually been in normal, loving relationship for 10 years. So it would feel right for you to be like, well, I want to feel loved. And now I'm free. I'm a single woman. Of course I'm gonna date. And although there's nothing wrong with dating, I think it's really important to find yourself.
Absolutely. So please, like I have a lot of friends and I know a lot of women who are getting divorced or have been divorced, and they right away start jumping into relationships and they're like, okay, I'm happy I found the guy. And then like 6 months later or a year later, it's like, no. So I feel like take that time, just find yourself, heal, and it'll all work out. Eventually it all works out.
It really honestly does, and I think everything happens for a reason, and that's why I'm just so proud of you and your journey, and I know I didn't know you through the process of you really finding yourself before divorce, but I have seen the way you've glowed up after divorce. Not that you never really weren't glowing, because I feel like you were always glowing, but was there a time that you really felt like you really had like a glow up? Was it right after the divorce? Was it the years after the divorce?
Like I feel that the reason why I was able to stay in this marriage for 20 years and really be in, make it work was because I always took care of myself. I always did. I started doing therapy early on in my marriage, and I was very lucky to be able to do that and have an amazing therapist that said to me, You're obviously not going anywhere." I was so young, and I was like, no, because there were so many reasons why. And she says, so you need to take care of you. You have the means, you have everything. You need to go to the gym, you need to go here, you need to go get your facials, you need to get a massage, you need to do this. And I was thinking like, why I can do all these things. And I did. I started to take care of me. I started to spend, 2 hours for myself. Like, okay, dropping off the kids, I made it a point. I went to the gym. I mean, I met you at the gym. I started to really take care of myself, and that really helped me. Even though things were not great at home, that helped me to say, okay, you know what? I took care of me. I loved myself for 2 hours today. I'm ready to be a mom, take over, be with the kids and be with the husband and do what I need to do because I took care of myself. So I always made sure that I ate well, that I was super healthy, that, took care of my skin and just took care of myself. And I think a lot of people might have thought like, oh my God, I'm like, my best friend would always tell me like, you're always getting massages. You're always taking care of yourself. I'm like, yeah, you should too,
Honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, because it makes you think like, are a lot of people really angry at the situation that they're in with their significant other, or are they angry because they're not taking care of themselves? And you project a lot of your feelings onto your partner, and then obviously there's deeper issues going on, right? But it could be that it really is you and how you feel about yourself, and it happens a lot of the time, and that's why it's funny that you said that your son asked like, "Oh, you guys aren't getting back together?" 'Cause a lot of people get back together.
Yeah, my son, I still remember he was like, and he was really upset about it. I was like, oh, no, 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 no. We are not getting back together. I didn't do this for 20 years to be like, let's get back together.
And you never know, and honestly, if you guys would have gotten back together at that point, you came back a different person. He's probably a different person. You guys are not the 18-year-old
Yeah,
that
no,
that
no.
first got married, so it's a completely different relationship, and that's why when people do get back together, we see it a lot, and their marriage lasts. It really does, because at this point, you're like, "Well, I know what I want, and I also know what's out there."
But no, but that's not gonna happen.
I don't know, we're not saying it is, we're not.
But doing your homework a little bit, you're an esthetician.
I am.
Do you think that because it's such a healing profession that that had anything to do with your journey and finding yourself after?
So after divorce, I did work the last 8 years in our business. So I wasn't just his little wife. I did work in the company, and I was a very huge asset.
No, she is a badass. They owned a business.
A lot of people are like, hey, I did work in the company, and I did, help out and all that. But when I got divorced, it was finally, we're in the grocery business. Well, now it's like I can do whatever I want, right? And I'm thinking, what do I do next? So my bestie is Dr. Pimple Popper. And so she was like, you love skincare. Why don't you, and, like, she was giving me ideas. And I'm thinking, oh, then we can do something together or whatever. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to esthetician school. I walked in there literally thinking, I'm gonna do this. I'm probably not gonna even love it. Like, I'm just gonna do it. It's during COVID. It's 6 months.
Just a cute little hobby.
Just a cute little hobby. I'm gonna just do this.
Go to a whole program as a whole school.
$10. If I don't like it, whatever. So that's when it all happened for me. when I walked into that room with these incredible young ladies, I saw my younger self. That's when I realized this is what I meant. This is where I'm meant to be. These women were anywhere from 18 to about 26 years old. I was in my 40s. I was 39 at the time. And I just saw these little girls came from the same upbringing that I came up. Like they grew up like most of them in the hood, you know. They were in relationships that where they weren't happy in. They were single moms, but a lot of them were Latinas, and it just made me so proud to be in a room where these young ladies, they are here because they want to make a difference in their lives. I didn't have the opportunity. I got married so young. You grant the fact that I did have a nice life, but what I wanted the most was to have an education. I wanted to be an attorney, and that's why I think I pushed it so hard on my daughter. My daughter's gonna be an attorney. She better be. And I didn't have those opportunities, and maybe I could have if I tried harder, but I just didn't know where to start. So for me, walking into that room with these young ladies was just like, oh my gosh, it was so inspiring. And they would always be like, why do you come to school so happy? And I'd be like, I'd be rolling in my BMW 8 Series, and they're like, why are you even here? And I'm like, they didn't know that they did so much good to me. They were, because I was like, you're here, you have a black eye, you have 5 kids, you're gonna go to work full time after going to school full time, and you're here. It's so easy to stay in a relationship or in a situation that's comfortable than to leave something that's uncomfortable. It took me 20 years to leave something because I was scared, can I do this on my own? Are my kids gonna be okay? So I would say my story over and over to these girls, and I'm sure that they're gonna be like, oh my God, Raquel, I would always tell them, like, you got this. You have 10 more, uh, you know, 10 hours more or 100 hours more. You can do this. So for me, I feel like becoming an esthetician, going to esthetician school was like my calling. And now I do demos, and I started my own business. I have my own label for wax, jelly masks, and esthetician supplies. I never really actually did any facials because I started my business while I was in school. And now I go to different schools. I'm so blessed to be booked and all year. And these schools I go, I tell them my journey. I try to mentor these girls. I try to help them out with starting a business. And I feel so blessed. It's just so rewarding. Like, I feel like God gave me like a blessing at the end of it.
That platform, right? Now you're like, now I'll do a little hobby and be a therapist.
Yeah, and honestly, I will say this, and I don't think I've ever told you this, but I think we were working out one day, and we had this trainer, and she would kick our butt.
Yes.
We'd walk out of there drenched in sweat, and yeah, I don't know if she still trains now, but she was amazing. And so in the middle of us sweating and dying, and I think I was venting to her about my social media and me being an attorney, and I didn't know if I really was okay doing these videos because I was getting some negative comments from our friends that were attorneys. Like, what kind of attorney are you that you're over here on social media? And I'm like, well, I love it. And it brings me business. And then you told me, like, you need to do whatever you do for your business that makes you happy. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, other people think it's weird that I'm making these videos. And you're like, no, I have a best friend who people thought her career was nothing, and she's amazing. And I'm like, who's your best friend? And she's like, Dr. Pimple Popper. Wait, what? Somebody downplayed Dr. Pimple
Oh,
Popper?
yeah.
And it literally stuck with me that I was like, you know what? Yeah, and literally you were like, who cares what anybody says? Who cares what anybody thinks? You look amazing out there doing your videos. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, at least Raquel's watching. So
Yes. And everybody else is now, and you better tune in.
And as much people there are that are hating on you, and there's just the same amount or more that are rooting for you.
absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And if you have to block like, if I really sat here and we all sat here and really like listened to what everybody has to say about us, like, who you are in your core. The people that love you know who you are. Your children know who you are. That's all that matters. All I care is that my kids know who I am. Other than that, I don't give a shit who else. Like, my kids know the person that I am, and that's it. The only people I need to impress, the only people that I need to, care about what they think about me are my children.
To a certain extent, though, right? Because my kids are like, oh, mom, you're doing another TikTok. And I know the same thing we talked about, your kids saying about you being on the podcast. Like, okay, what are you going to talk about? It's like, okay, you don't own me. Well, kind of.
Secretly they are proud of us.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. I never want to disappoint my kids. I want my kids to think the best of me, and I mean, no matter if they think sometimes I'm like, Guys, I'm still cool, okay?" My daughter will be like, "What are you wearing?" And I'm like, "Hey, this is in." She's like, "Yeah, you're also 45 years old." Like 25-year-olds are wearing that. My son's like, "Do not, like, what are you wearing?" Where my middle child is like, "Go, mommy, who's gonna stop you?"
Yeah, that's my middle child too. She's like, "Mom, post it. Who cares? Do this." And my son is like, "Mom." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, he would never he would be mortified to repost me, and I think he's nervous that I'm gonna get all kinds of followers, and I'm like, "Why don't you want me to be famous?"
For his little
And you will,
friend.
and you
From his
will,
little
and you
friends.
are, and you're already famous. So
And it's funny because I think that you're such an inspiration. You were an inspiration to me and you didn't even know it. And clearly you're an inspiration to these women that were in the beauty school with you. And now you're doing these awesome jelly masks and you're out there and you're teaching. And clearly you're literally an inspiration to so many women about how divorce is doesn't define you because it really didn't. It gave you the power to be you, to continue being a mother, to continue working harder, not just for yourself, but so that the kids knew, like, I it doesn't matter how old I am, I can still go back to school, I can still do amazing things,
absolutely.
and I'm still gonna be amazing.
Absolutely. And for me, I was married for 20 years and my ex-husband gave us an incredible, incredible, incredible life, beautiful life. And, a part of me, was scared sometimes, during the process of like our issues because I was like, am I gonna like lose all this? Like, should I just stay? Is it better for me to just stay in this relationship? But, I don't have what I had, but I am the most happiest. I feel the most fulfilled. I feel like my kids are proud of me that I walked away from a situation that I just wasn't happy with, but I didn't stay because, oh, the life that I have, that I actually had the balls to say, okay, I'm in my 40s, I'm going to do this and I'm going to start all over again. And, I did, and I did it, and I'm doing it. And I hope that they think me and they're proud of me and I'm proud of myself. So, you know, it's like sometimes we need to really just take that risk because if it's just not working, it's just never going to work. I mean, I put in therapy and I mean, I would have given anything in the world to make my marriage work, but it just didn't. It wasn't. And I think that's when him and I were like, okay, we've done it all. I did it all. Like I did it. I can honestly sit here and say, I did everything possible. I went through therapy. I went through everything until finally we were like, okay, we both were like, this is needs to.
And that's probably why you had such a good healing process because you weren't sitting there like, maybe I should have tried this. Maybe we should have done this. Or did we really, yeah, mess up by not, trying to work things out or holding on to grudges? And you're just a peaceful, positive person, just a light all the time. So I can't
I
even,
would co-parent with you too.
I know. So I can't even imagine it not being a good relationship.
And the thing is, I was always very like the mom. Like he was always very okay. Even now, if there, we don't really talk much now. We have set really, we have boundaries. We respect each other. The kids are adults now, so there's not that much communication. But when there was, if I had a problem with the kids, it was like, hey, this okay. He was very like we were always in sync with the kids. We never argued about the kids. If I felt like this was okay, that's what you want to do. When I was like, they're gonna go to this private school, it's gonna cost, 20 something. Okay.
Thought it's gonna cost you.
Gonna cost you.
You, not each. We don't split it there.
He was very, we both, when we wanted to have kids, we both knew what kind of kids we wanted to raise. We knew exactly what we wanted. So he and I were always in sync. Like, this is what's going on. I got you. I got your back. We're going to sit down. We always like, we're on, whenever it was like, oh, your mom or your dad, it was like, we are both telling you that this is not okay.
And I think a lot of people forget the fact that it should still be about the
Oh,
kids.
absolutely.
I think that in situations that you would normally talk to each other about, like taking your child to the doctor or injury or school or behavior wise, right? You guys refuse to talk to each other now that you guys are no longer in a relationship. But why? Is it because you don't want to talk about the kids or is it because your emotions are preventing you from having a good co-parent relationship? And it feels like you were able to put your emotions aside because I'm sure that as a woman and a wife, it hurt you to not have your marriage work out. But as a mom, you were able to put those feelings aside, and I think that that's so important, and a lot of people don't know how to do that. And maybe it takes time, right? Every divorce is different, every situation is different. But the reason why I thought you were gonna be so perfect for our podcast was I wanted to really talk about the milestones for your kids and how you guys both co-parent because you guys have had graduations and college experience and dropping off kids, right? And it seems like you guys do have a good co-parenting relationship, but sometimes it's to a certain extent. But then I saw you post something and you were like, "Oh, we hosted my ex-husband and I, we hosted our son's or our child's last graduation party together and it was so bittersweet." And I'm like, "Wait. You guys hosted a graduation party
So
together?"
in the beginning, we would celebrate birthdays like maybe the first 2 years. Then eventually we stopped that. So we both celebrate birthdays separately. We celebrate holidays separately. And with big graduations, like big milestones like that, we do come together and he has the home. So he's like, hey, we're gonna have a little graduation party at the house. Yes, I do go. I show up for a few hours. I kind of help, kind of like set up some stuff, but I'm not there drinking. I'm not there partying. I'm not, it's just we're here. It's his family, my family. We host for a little bit, and then I know when it's time for me to dip, you know? Yeah, that's where the boundaries come. It's not like we're, invading each other's like privacy in that way. Everybody knows we're all here for the kids. And yeah, granted, if we were married, we would have had been there till 2, 3 in the morning partying it up. But that's not the case. And it's like, even with my family, they know it's like, okay, Raquel's leaving, well, we're leaving too. Thank you so much. It works great, because the kids are able to see us together, but with a certain, like,
Yes.
it's not like we're in there like, oh, cheers, let's get drunk together. No.
Well, and that's a good way of putting it because it's hard to find what those boundaries are because you want to be normal and you want to be cool. So does that mean that you're at the party until 2, 3 in the morning? Like, no, that doesn't. If that doesn't work for you, if that doesn't make you a better person or able to really be there for the kids, then why do that? Why risk adding alcohol or just additional people involved for hours at a time? And setting boundaries is so important.
Yeah, no, I think our boundaries, and my kids are happy with it. Sometimes I would ask the kids, do you want, like, should we do stuff together? And they're like, no, we are perfectly okay with coming to your house and going to dad's and like keeping it separate, mom. We don't need to be hanging out with your boyfriend and dad, like, and all that. Like, that's not gonna happen. And they really, I'm in a relationship now, so they really like him, but they're like, no, we don't need dad there. Like, that's weird. Like, no, like, we have our time with you and your thing, and we have our time with dad. So it works well for us. And like I said, my kids are adults now. We don't really have any communication unless it's like something super, 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 super important. But when I do see him, it's, hey, how are you? Great. That's it. It's not like I don't know anything personal about him. He doesn't know anything personal. And I love it. And I don't need to know. So, and I know that if I ever need anything, he's there for me. And if he does, I would be there for him. But that's it, in a way that's, we're still respecting, each other's, if he's in a relationship or if I'm in a relationship. He's never even stepped foot in my home. I don't even think he's even drove by my street. So it's great.
Yeah. And I think it's just important to set boundaries that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, what does co-parenting after a divorce look like? There's really no manual. Everybody's different. Kids need different things from each parent. And you touched on how different your 3 kids are and how different they handled the divorce, even when they were saying we're fine. And even though they knew or they secretly knew and really didn't tell you anything because you guys thought you were gonna give them this big old speech that they were gonna be like, "Oh, no, what do you mean?" But kids know more than we would ever want them to think that they know. So a lot of the times, it's like, "Well, how am I gonna tell the kids that, we're divorcing?" It's like, you don't have to tell them. They probably knew.
Oh, my kids knew. My kids knew. I remember my oldest daughter told me this. She said, what's sad is you guys pretended to everybody, to the family, that you guys were so happy because obviously we'd go to events and we're the perfect family, But then when you guys would come home, we knew, like, you could feel it. And we knew you guys, like, it wasn't like you guys portrayed when we were out at events or parties and stuff like that. That really hurt my feelings. I was like, oh, like, for how long did you feel this way? Because we were not good for a long time. So, kids know. And I hope that I tried to make it as peaceful and happy the last years of it, that they didn't see all the ugly.
Even if they did, I think that that's given them the opportunity to see what it's like to not be in a healthy relationship or a good relationship. And now that you guys are apart and are able to co-parent and are able to be civil and now have relationships of your own and you're thriving and happy. And I think that that's what's important. That's what kids are going to understand and see. And I think it had a lot to do with him being able to co-parent with you as well, because I think that you're a great person, but sometimes the other side isn't able to really process the divorce. And maybe you guys didn't process the divorce at the same time. And maybe you didn't realize that one of you guys was still healing while the other one was overcoming it. But when you guys were ready to divorce, it was easy
It was.
because you guys were on the same
We were
page.
absolutely on the same page, absolutely. And, you know, it at the end, and now, we're both, you know, I'm thriving, he's thriving, I'm in a relationship. I feel like I'm in a, healthy, good relationship. I think my kids, when I first got divorced and I got into that relationship right away, my kids didn't meet him for like maybe 2 years. Like I said, before, we're thriving in our lives. And, eventually, you find your peace and the kids are going to be okay.
And that's one thing that we try to talk to our clients about because we get the phone calls, right? And granted, again, this is your process and how you're now viewing it from a, perspective that you're out of. But while they're in it, we get all these calls. And so what we try to steer from is you can never take dad or mom away from your child. They're always going to be mom and dad because we see like, oh, this happened but it's again, maybe there's still we can tell like there's still emotions involved. Like why does that bother you so much? Like let them. So just I think in your case because of the co-parenting, let mom be mom and let dad be dad because they're always going to be there. The best thing you could do is like you said, I think you did the most selfless thing you could do, right? And put your children first and be able to prioritize that where other people can't, well, in the process of it are trying to
See the light at the end of the tunnel.
And I think in my situation, like I really do have incredible kids, and people will always tell me like, how did this happen? Like my core people that know my situation, like really know like my marriage and everything. They're like, how did this happen? How did these kids turn out so amazing? And I really do believe it's because, we were like, this is our priority. They are like it, and we are both going to work on making sure that they are happy, that we are going to keep a safe environment for them, and that I'm going to still be mom, that I'm not going to change, that just because I'm getting the divorce and I'm not going to be here 24/7 doesn't mean that I'm not going to give you the same love, that I'm going to, a lot of fear I think comes from like, what's going to happen? Like now, is dad going to go get a girlfriend? Is mom going to like not be there for me? Are they going to like start building their own lives? And we did not do that. I mean, I was in a relationship right after my divorce, but he understood like I still need to go, see my kids.
but the
And
stability was
the
still there.
stability was still there.
Yes.
My kids were first, and that was kind of like my focus.
And I think at the end of the day, it's the type of parent that you're going to be to your kids. It overpowers whatever relationship or issues you guys had throughout the relationship because they see you guys now. And that's probably what they're going to remember, right? My parents were so good even after the divorce because my parents knew that we were important. So I can call my mom and tell her about dad. And she's like, oh, that's awesome that you guys did this. And then I can call dad and say, oh, I'm over here with mom. And he's going to be like, okay, enjoy your guys' time. And but in the moment of a divorce, it's hard. You really do think, what's it going to be like? But it's being able to put your own emotions aside, which is hard to do.
Like I don't ever speak bad about him to my kids, and he doesn't speak bad about me to the kids. Like we've had that like,
Well, I'm sure there's nothing bad to say about you. I'm sure you're
course not.
perfect.
He better not. He better not.
Right?
I'll spill all of the juice.
All the tea.
All the tea, the juice,
The
the
tea,
todo,
We'll
everything,
have
right?
a podcast episode too.
Yeah, she's like, all right, I'm ready to sell it how it is.
You know what? It's been, almost 6 years now. And I have these amazing kids. He's doing great. I'm doing great. It all ends up being okay. And I just think just try to make it as easy as possible. And I know sometimes some divorces are like because there's so much going on and maybe somebody hurt somebody. But if you really just, if it's not going to work, it's just not going to work and just might as well make it peaceful.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part.
I'm very blessed where it was very, very easy for me to I should have taken him for more. Just kidding. You told me. You told me.
Well, I always do. But they were so good about everything that it feels fishy, but I don't know. Okay.
I think for me, he gave me and my family and even my extended family such a beautiful life. I really, really there was nothing I didn't want that I didn't have, and my kids continue to have that amazing life. So I just didn't feel right. Like I was a stay-at-home mom, and I do feel like I had a big part in his success. But I did feel like I walked away with was fair, and he's worked his ass off for what he has, and my kids continue to have the life. He's never asked me for one penny for the kids. Like I can go, like he takes care of them completely. So I was like, I got me. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to take care of myself. I don't need this anymore. He did enough for me and my family. I will take with what I have and build on it. And I have. And as long as my kids are good, they better take care of me when I'm old.
Right? You're like, I sacrificed so much
For
you.
you. Financially it was just I wasn't fighting. I felt like I walked away with was fair. Many might say no, but I just feel like I was okay.
But
My
as long
attorney
as
might
it
think I
was
should have taken.
okay with
Yeah,
you.
it was and it is, and I've been able to do me and God has blessed me and I'm okay doing with what I have. I can take care of myself.
Yeah. And as long as your kids are taken care of and they're thriving and they're happy.
Sorry. My kids are like he is an extraordinary father. He takes care of them. He's, does, financially he is, makes sure that they're okay and they will be okay. And
That's all
so
that
that
matters.
matters.
It
Yep.
really is. And when you look back, I think that years from now, you're going to look back at this situation and you're going to be like, wow, like we really did that.
Yeah.
And just the same way that you were able to survive 10 years in a marriage that you guys weren't getting along, you're like, wow, I did that.
Yeah, and I feel like I had that moment with my son. Like my daughter just graduated college from Loyola. She's actually doing a post-bac medical program at Claremont Colleges, and hopefully will be applying for medical school this time next year. My daughter goes to UC Santa Barbara. She's on her junior year for political science, doing two majors, one minor. She's crazy. She's gonna be an attorney. She better be. And my
I second
son, yes, and my son just got into Pitzer and doing economics major. And when we took him to his dorm and I'm walking with my ex-husband. I had that moment. I looked at him and I said, "Hey." He was like, "What?" I'm like, "We did it. Like we did it. We fucking did it. These kids are extraordinary. Like we did it." And that's like for me, that was very like we did it. Like that's it.
And it was nice that you guys could share that moment, right? It wasn't like, well, I did it because.
And it wasn't like it was just like we both knew like, yeah, we did this.
And we're both happy and we both were able to move on. And here we are walking a hallway without trying to murder each other, even though I don't know how you felt internally or whatever the case may be, right?
No, yeah, and I think that's what we felt. I think we both are like, shit, all this, but we were able to manage to keep it together for them and really keep that respect. And as much as we were going through together, we were able to put that to the side, put them as our center and go forward and to see our three kids thrive and continue to thrive and to know that they're going to be okay in life because we raised strong, resilient, independent, loving, humble children is like the best thing that could ever happen. Nothing in this world, nothing in my career, nothing in his career will ever will match what I feel when my kids accomplish something and to know that there are these incredible kids.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
just focus on the kids, guys. Don't put men first. I have a lot of women that put men first.
Yeah, we know that too. Well, I think that we're gonna definitely have to have you on the episode again for a part 2 because I'm dying to know what it's like to be an empty nester. That's a whole other topic because again, you look 21 and you have college kids. Like what? So we'll definitely have to talk about your life as an empty nester.
And the dating too after divorce, we should have one of those because that was horrible.
But honestly, like, I think that your words of encouragement and just the way that you were able to process everything, I just hope that it brings so much peace to someone else in the same situation because you are literally just a light. And I think a lot of it is that you're so positive about stuff. And I don't know if that was just the way you've always been or you learned to be, but it's a way that most of us should be in life. And the fact that you were willing to put your kids before anything just says so much about you as a person. And I think no matter what, you're going to be successful and you're going to continue to be amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on our show.
Girls, I had the best times and I wasn't supposed to cry.
And I'm sorry that we got so raw and you actually cried, but I think it's deep. And you really don't talk about these things normally.
No, I haven't talked about this in years. My gosh.
So you're like, it was just there. I didn't even know it. But I think it'll bring some peace to people to know that at the end of the day, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And look at you now and your kids. And even, your co-parenting relationship it doesn't end. And that's what I need people to understand. You guys are still co-parenting college kids.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't end. And even if you think like, okay, the kids are going to be older, like, no, you're going to be at graduations, you're going to be at weddings, all of this stuff.
Once they're 18, it's done. I'm mad here. No.
My daughter just calls me the day I'm sick. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? I'm like, okay, I'll send you food, whatever. But, they're always going to be your babies. But I just want to say thank you for, starting this podcast because this is going to really bring a lot of light to a lot of women and to have somebody like me and other women come and be vulnerable and talk about their experiences is huge. So amazing job. And I'm sure you're going to be like top. You guys better make her top 1. Okay. Y'all better go and what are you, YouTube? What are you? Spotify, YouTube, go subscribe and make sure you like and whatever.
I know Logan watches these videos and it's always like, hit the smash the like button or the subscribe. I don't know what you're supposed to do, but yes, thank you.
And go ahead and follow Raquel too on your socials.
Her journey and she's just amazing. Thank you guys for joining. We'll be back next time. Bye.